Questioner. I had started with the question about the condition of a man after death. When his body is destroyed, what happens to his consciousness? Does he carry his senses of seeing, hearing, and so on along with him, or does he leave them behind? And if he loses his senses, what becomes of his consciousness? Maharaj, senses are mere modes of perception. As the grosser modes disappear, finer states of consciousness emerge. Questioner. Is there no transition to awareness after death? There can be no transition from consciousness to awareness, for awareness is not a form of consciousness. Consciousness can only become more subtle and refined, and that is what happens after death. As the various vehicles of man die off, the modes of consciousness induced by them also fade away. Questioner. Until only unconsciousness remains. Maharaj, look at yourself talking of unconsciousness as something that comes and goes. Who is there to be conscious of unconsciousness? As long as the window is open, there is sunlight in the room. With the window shut, the sun remains, but does it see the darkness in the room? Is there anything like darkness to the sun? There is no such thing as unconsciousness, for unconsciousness is not experienceable. We infer unconsciousness when there is a lapse in memory or communication. If I stop reacting, you will say that I am unconscious. In reality, I may be most acutely conscious, only unable to communicate or remember. Questioner. I'm asking a simple question. There are about 4 billion people in the world, and they are all bound to die. What will be their condition after death? Not physically, but psychologically. Will their consciousness continue? And if it does, in what form? Do not tell me that I am not asking the right question, or that you do not know the answer, or that in your world my question is meaningless. The moment you start talking about your world and my world as different and incompatible, you build a wall between us. Either we live in one world or your experience in is of no use to us. Maharaj. Of course, we live in one world. Only I see it as it is, while you do not. You see yourself in the world, while I see the world in myself. To you, you get born and die, while to me, the world appears and disappears. Our world is real, but your view of it is not. There is no wall between us, except the one built by you. There is nothing wrong with the senses. It is your imagination that misleads you. It covers up the world as it is, with what you imagine it to be, something existing independently of you and yet closely following your inherited or acquired patterns. There is a deep contradiction in your attitude, which you do not see, and which is the cause of sorrow. You cling to the idea that you were born into a world of pain and sorrow. I know that the world is a child of love, having its beginning, growth, and fulfillment in love. But I am beyond love even. Questioner. If you have created the world out of love, why is it so full of pain? Maharaj. You are right, from the body's point of view, but you are not the body. You are the immensity and infinity of consciousness. Don't assume what is not true, and you will see things as I see them. Pain and pleasure, good and bad, right and wrong. These are relative terms and must not be taken absolutely. They are limited and temporary. Questioner. In the Buddhist tradition, it is stated that a nirvani, an enlightened Buddha, has the freedom of the universe. He can know and experience for himself all that exists. He can command, interfere with nature, with the chain of causation, change the sequence of events, even undo the past. The world is still with him, but he is free in it. Maharaj, what you describe as God, of course, where there is a universe, there will also be its counterpart, which is God, but I am beyond both. There was a kingdom in search of a king. They found the right man and made him king. In no way had he changed. He was merely given the title, the rights, and the duties of a king. His nature was not affected, only his actions. Similarly, with the enlightened man, the content of his consciousness undergoes a radical transformation, but he is not misled. He knows the changeless.